their struggle for the right of self-determination as agreed in the past UN resolutions. I would now request His Excellency Mr. Mohammad Ashraf, Consul General of Pakistan, to come to the podium for his opening remarks and read out the message from the President of Pakistan on the occasion of Kashmir Solidarity. Thank you.
Honorable Lee Rhiannon, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I thank you for taking the time out to join us to observe the Kashmir Solidarity Day. I especially thank Honorable Lee Rhiannon for not only joining us today as the keynote speaker at this event, but remaining a consistent, steadfast and ardent voice of Kashmiri people at the forums which matter. Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, Kashmir Solidarity Day is observed for renewing our pledge of support to the Kashmiri brethren, to reassure them that our hearts throb with them and we feel their pain. It's meant at keeping the people informed of the just cause of the people of Jammu and Kashmir and keep on reminding the world of its responsibility towards the Kashmiris. Let me take this opportunity to read out the message of the President of Pakistan on this occasion. Republic of Pakistan on the occasion of Kashmir Solidarity Day on 5th February 2022. Today we pay tribute to the unparalleled commitment of the Kashmiris for the attainment of their legitimate right to self-determination. The entire Pakistani nation stands with Kashmiris. It is our firm belief that the Kashmiris will succeed in their valiant struggle to secure freedom from oppression and illegal occupation. The Jammu and Kashmir dispute is one of the oldest items on the agenda of the UN Security Council. The dispute remains unresolved due to India's obstinate refusal to honor its commitments and its disrespect for the fundamental human rights and international law.
Now I would read out the message from the Prime Minister of Pakistan, His Excellency Mr. Imran Khan. Today the people of Pakistan are commemorating the Kashmir Solidarity Day to reaffirm our unwavering support to the Kashmiris in their just struggle for their inalienable right to self-determination. The Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir is an internationally recognized dispute, the resolution of which is firmly anchored in the relevant United Nations Security Council resolutions. The human rights situation in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir has continued to worsen following India's illegal and unilateral actions of 5th August 2019. The inhuman military siege, which has remained in place for almost 2.5 years now, has resulted in the martyrdom of hundreds of Kashmiris. Indian occupation forces continue to use brute force indiscriminately against Kashmiri men, women, children, and the elderly. The Kashmiri youth has been particularly targeted in their campaign of unabated repression. The most oppressive illustrations of this are the use of pellet guns and destruction of entire neighborhoods, including collective punishments on communities in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. The unending killing spree, arbitrary arrests of Kashmiris and human rights defenders, and refusal to hand over the mortal remains of martyrs by Indian occupation forces are a matter of grave concern for people across the world. India has unleashed the worst form of state terrorism to break the will of the Kashmiri people and crush their legitimate struggle. The whole Indian state machinery is involved in these unspeakable crimes against humanity. The over 900,000 Indian occupation forces continue to terrorize the Kashmiris through an assault on their distinct identity and culture through illegal demographic changes and economic marginalization.
Observing this Kashmir Solidarity Day, we continue to pay homage to the supreme sacrifices of our brothers and sisters in Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. We reiterate our unflinching and complete support for their just struggle. This will continue till the realization of their inalienable right to self-determination. The endless saga of Indian brutality is indicative of consistent pattern of state oppression and atrocities. Indian occupation forces have been brutalizing the Kashmiris with impunity for more than 7 decades. History has few parallels of such massive violation of fundamental rights, Over 8 million Kashmiris have been turned into
Invitation to join with you tonight. I do acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay tribute to their history, their culture and their history and their many ongoing struggles for justice, which tragically in this country remain many. Special thanks to the Consul General and all the staff for organising this event. I think it's incredibly important that we have these events to mark Kashmir Solidarity Day, and we've had many in Sydney. I think probably the most we've had over the weekend, and around the world. I actually received, I picked it up on Twitter, photographs would have been from the previous Pakistan High Commissioner in Australia, Mr. Amin, in Norway, and the protests they were standing, it was snowing, and they had all their signs for Kashmir Solidarity Day. So I do take great heart that it's such a strong international day today, but we still have a lot more to do. One of the factors holding back achieving Kashmiri self-determination is the attitude of many Western countries that provide solid support for the Modi government. And tonight I would like to examine the relationship between Israel and India. These two countries have a worryingly close level of cooperation. India is not only becoming reliant on Israeli military and security hardware, it is also adopting many of the ruthless tactics Israel uses to suppress Palestinians. The close relationship between India and Israel has serious implications for the peace and security of the subcontinent and the very future of Kashmir. India is the largest buyer of Israeli military equipment. For the decade 1999 to 2009, military trade and bilateral cooperation between the new two nations was worth about $9 billion. This involves joint military and security training and sharing intelligence. There are many insidious aspects to this relationship. Indian security forces work closely with Mossad, the notorious Israeli intelligence agency. Israel advertises that its military equipment is field tested. Field tested, being no doubt about this, field tested means tested on Palestinians. Cooperation between the Israeli Defence Force and Indian military forces is extensive. This is not only impacting on Kashmiris in terms of an escalation of India's use of sophisticated armaments against local people, but with the issue of Kashmir's demographics. For many years, India has been assisting military personnel to retire to this region. New laws have been passed, including a new domicile law. Indian authorities issue domicile certificates to Indians, non-Muslim Hindus, non-Muslim Indians, and non-residents, entitling them to residency rights and government jobs.